Hello, I'm Dennis Snow, and this is Speaking of Service Excellence. And this video addresses the question, are we making things easier for us, or are we making things easier for the customer? And that's a key question. I'm lucky to be one of those people who can work on an airplane, and I can also sleep like a baby on an airplane. Often when I board the plane, I'll tell the flight attendant that I'm going to fall asleep and it's not going to be pretty. But no matter what you see or what you hear, don't worry, I'm okay. Well, on a recent flight, I was getting some work done. And I was really cranking it out. I had my laptop out, some files with notes, pens, a book I was using for some research. I had my own little workstation going. The flight attendant came around to take my lunch order, and I was flying first class, yay. But I passed on the lunch because I didn't have any room for a tray. But I said I will take one of those little bowls of peanuts because I could make a little room for that. So as I finished my bowl of peanuts, the flight attendant was delivering meals to the other passengers on the plane. And as she delivered my seatmate's tray, I asked if she would take away my little bowl of peanuts because I knew at some point I was going to knock it on the floor. And she said with some irritation in her voice, "I'll pick those up when I'm done delivering the meals." And she turned around, walked back to the galley, empty-handed, nothing in her hands. Now, while this might have been a little easier for her, a paid employee of the airline, it was very inconvenient for me, a paying passenger of the airline. Now, contrast that example with my very friendly flight attendant with an experience with a hotel banquet server. Whenever I do a speech or a workshop, I usually like to get to the function room about an hour before any of the guests arrive, because that way I can scope out the venue, I can make any seating adjustments that are needed, and plan an escape route just in case I bomb. And I'm also a big coffee drinker, so I always grab a cup of coffee as soon as the coffee service has been set up, usually just outside of the function room. Well, in this particular case, the coffee wasn't ready when I arrived. So I went about setting up my computer, moving a few of the chairs around, and working with the sound and lighting technicians just to check and make sure the sound was okay, the lighting was good. And after a few minutes, I spied this banquet server putting water pitchers out on the tables. And I asked him if he knew if the coffee is out there yet. "Yes, sir," he replied. So I hopped off the platform to go get a cup of coffee or three. The server immediately stopped me and said, "I'll get it for you, sir. How do you take it?" Well, I said, "I'll take it with a whole lot of appreciation for your help. You're wonderful." So here we have two very similar situations with very different outcomes. In the first story, I simply wanted to get rid of an empty peanut bowl. In the second story, I wanted a cup of coffee. But my flight attendant was focused on what was marginally easier for her, the employee. My banquet server, on the other hand, he was focused on what was easier for me, the customer. Now, that mindset that I'm talking about here applies to all aspects of customer service, and really all aspects of our lives, too. We can do things the easy way, or we can do things the way we know that they should be done. We all have that little voice in our heads that tells us what we should do. That nagging voice that says, "I know what you want to do, but here's what you should do." And no matter how jaded we might get, that little voice is still there. It's the voice that tells us we should get out of bed in the morning and go out for a run, when what we really want to do is hit the snooze alarm. The voice that says we should order a salad when we really want to order the cheeseburger. The voice that says we should put a new roll of toilet paper on the roller when we want to get back to our TV show. You know the voice. It's there for all of us. So why do we often take the easy way? Well, it's not rocket science. It's because it's easier, at least in the short run. And the right way is sometimes harder. But we know that in the long run, the right way always pays enormous benefits. And there's no getting around the fact that sometimes it takes self-discipline to do the right thing. Whether we're talking about exercise, whether we're talking about eating, customer service, whatever. Self-discipline is at the core of doing the right thing. Yes, it's easy to finish up the paperwork before making eye contact with a waiting customer. Yes, it's easier to ignore a ringing telephone. Yes, it's easier to delay responding to an angry customer's email. But the easy way often results in poor customer relationships, and that's never good for the customer, the company, or for us. Consistently doing the right thing usually results in loyal customers, a successful organization, and fulfilling jobs. And we know that. But it still sometimes takes self-discipline to do what we know is right. Now, in my speaking and training business, the easy thing to do would be to create a canned speech that can be delivered anywhere for any audience, anytime. But while that would be easier for me, it wouldn't be right for my clients, who would need to figure out what the message means to them in their operation. The right way, which I try to do, is to research the client and their unique situation and tailor the content so that the application is obvious to everyone in the room. It's harder for me, but it's easier for the client. And that's exactly the way that it should be. And clients often say how much they appreciate the research that I put in, which is music to my ears because it results in repeat clients and wonderful referrals, which actually makes my business easier in the long run. And that's probably the most important point of all of this. While doing the right thing might be a bit harder in the short term, it's easier in the long term. Whether we're talking about exercise, family relationships, customer service, whatever it is, doing the right thing ends up being easier in the long term because of the dividends that it pays in our health, our family relationships, and the success of our companies and our careers. So in the next customer interaction that you have, ask yourself this question. Am I making things easier for myself or easier for the customer? And that little voice in your head will point you in the right direction. It always does. Well, thanks so much for watching. I hope that you found this information to be helpful. If you'd like more information about how Snow & Associates can help your organization, or if you'd like to learn about my new virtual training platform, Dennis Snow Virtual Training, please visit my website, www.snowassociates.com.